That walk is the higher version of you. That healthy meal, higher version of you. Starting that business when you're nervous, higher version of you. Going to that conference and learn how to get better, higher version of you. Don't feel like doing it right now, lower version of you. You have to sometimes play a mental game with yourself where you let your higher version of you dominate the lower version of you so that that lower version of you doesn't become the permanent you.
If you actually took time to learn about how incredible you were, nothing would ever stop you.
How do you feel about your feelings? This is what we're going to talk about today. If you've not done so, I want you to do this. I want you to subscribe, to join, to comment, to share the information that we provide, because this isn't about anything other than making the world better. You know, it's funny because when I started doing these videos, I did these videos out of motivation because of my kids, actually. The reason why is I thought to myself, when I was growing up, I wish there were lessons I could have learned from, you know, parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, that kind of thing. But technology wasn't there for me to be able to hear their voices, get their lessons to be able to pass on. But now it is. So I do these videos. Part of the greatest motivation for me doing this, by far, is that there are lessons that I received that I want my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren to be able to learn. One day, prayerfully, they'll click, watch, get something out of this. Hopefully they get value. Hopefully you get value out of this. If so, make sure that you subscribe, join us, and comment. I love reading your comments. I'm going to talk about feelings right now because feelings are so important. Unfortunately, feelings have been misused by most of us. Let me give you an example. I woke up today with a high fever. I have a fever right now. I have a very high fever, actually. And I knew that I had this video to do today. I have other work that I have to get done. And the last thing I wanted to do was anything. I just wanted to stay in bed and do all that stuff that you do when you're not feeling your best, right? And so I have a choice. Choice number one, I go with my feelings, which were bed, sleep, all of that. But then the other choice was my commitment. I made a commitment that I wanted to have a certain frequency that I was going to have videos be released so that I would keep in my momentum. You know, momentum is something I believe in. And it seems like right when you're about to have a breakthrough in momentum, all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose and something goes wrong. Your car breaks down, you get sick, you break up with your girlfriend. All this stuff starts to happen right when you are beginning your momentum. And I've come to learn this, that if you can ignore how you feel in that moment, there's always a breakthrough that happens on the other side. So here's what I did. I had a conversation with myself. Here's what I said. I said, self, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get out of this bed. We're going to go and do this video. We're going to go and get our work done today. We're going to do every meeting we have to do. We're going to take every call we have to take. We're going to act like you're 100% good. Now, I'm not crazy. Clearly, I'm going to take care of myself, but that's not the point. The point was I made a conscious choice that I didn't want to give in to my feelings. You see, years ago, I don't know about you, I used to sleep till whenever I woke up, which was, I remember once my mother come in the room and it was like 12:45 or something like that. And she's like, it's almost 1 o'clock and you're still in bed. And I realized later on how crazy that was, that I was in bed. Now, it's not like I worked a night shift. I was just in bed because it was easier to be in bed doing nothing than doing something. Matter of fact, I've come to believe that when people say they love to sleep, sleep is great, but it usually is because they haven't found the game that they want to play. When you were kids and the holidays were coming like Christmas or your birthday was coming, did you need sleep? How fast did you want to wait for that morning to come for you to get up and hop out of bed and go and be celebrated or go get your gifts and all this other stuff? You didn't, right? Did you just, like, isn't it amazing, like, during a holiday or during your birthday when you're about to be rewarded for something, you don't need an alarm clock, you're just up? So, I remember looking back at that me, and I would have told my mother then, I would have said, Mom, here's the thing. It's not that I'm being lazy, it's that I'm not motivated. That's it. Most people aren't just lazy, they're just not motivated. We're doing things that we don't want to do, work with people we don't want to work with, and we start to get more into our feelings. We decide, I'm not going to do that project on time because I don't feel like it. I'm not going to go to the gym right now because I don't feel like it. I'm not going to turn that report in right now because I don't feel like it. I don't feel my best. And so we hide behind our feelings as reasons for lack of performance. And I just refused. Today I said, I'm just not taking that. I'm just not doing that. And I'm not going to give this video at anything other than 100%. I'm not going to come in here like, I don't feel good right now. I'm like, I just don't have time. I don't have time for it. I don't have time for the nonsense. I don't have time for the germs and the whatever. I don't have time for it. I have something that I have to do. And so for you and I, in order for us to have an incredible life, we have to ignore our feelings. Now, I'm not saying don't acknowledge what you're thinking, but don't have your feelings disempower you. I've seen so many people that I've worked with over years. Man, they had the ability, the potential to be amazing, but they couldn't get past their feelings. I've met so many people that I thought would be incredible in business, but they couldn't get past their feelings. Their feelings absolutely sabotaged their success. Their feelings absolutely had a barrier between them and everything else they wanted. I want you to imagine you're here, there's this wall here, and on the other side is everything you want. And this is your feelings. And if you're standing here looking at your feelings, if you knew that everything you wanted was on the other side of that wall, you'd probably go over that wall, around that wall, under that wall, through that wall, because everything you ever wanted was on the other side. Well, here's what I'm here to tell you. It is. Everything that you want is on the other side of your feelings. When you don't feel like waking up, get up. Get up. Get up. Why? Because you don't feel like it. When you don't feel like eating right, eat right. Why? Because you don't feel like it. You'll discover that most of the things in your life that you don't feel like doing are the very things that would prosper you. You see, I believe that your feelings are a daily test to see how much you truly want that whichever it is you say that you want. Now, look, we have feelings of fear. That's an opportunity to have something that you choose and to conquer that. Like you're afraid of flying. Well, you have a choice. The plane is probably going to make it safely. You can never travel because you're afraid of flying, or you can figure out ways and methods to conquer that fear. You see, how you feel is as relevant as the energy that you give it. If you give your feelings more relevance than your dreams, ambitions, and goals, then your feelings win. It's amazing to me. There was a gentleman that I worked with, and this guy was a big-time bodybuilder. He'd compete in all these competitions. This guy was huge. Huge. I know, huge. You know what I mean? Like people like their ears had muscles. It was crazy. And I said, what's the hardest part of like getting to this level? Because this guy was working out twice a day, and he'd come in with these pre-made trays of food and all this other stuff. And he's like, man, just doing it when I don't feel like it. And I thought to myself, man, the ability to conquer yourself is when you're doing things that you know you should be doing, no matter how you feel about doing it. Man, that's powerful. One of my mentors, Mr. Zalaki, says all the time, commitment is doing what you said you're going to do long after the feelings have left you. We all have moments where our feelings betray us, moments where we know we're supposed to move, but it's raining outside, so I can't go for that walk. I just lost a contract. I can't pay that bill. And the reality is that the dominant thing that's standing between you and everything is that wall of feelings. I want you to get a visual right now. I want you to get the visual of you, and there's this wall in front of you. Sadness, regret, disappointment, all those feelings, don't feel like it, temporary laziness, whatever that is. And I want you to imagine that if you have the ability to scale and climb that wall, or to walk around either side of that wall, is everything you've ever wanted. Now here's a question. Are you going to do it? It's easy for me to say, but in that moment, are you going to do it? Can you hold your commitment and make your commitment superior to your feelings. Those calls that you said you're going to make. You said, as soon as I get up, I'm going to make these calls. Are you going to make them, or do you not feel like it? That exercise you said you were going to start doing. You saw that YouTube video, that influencer, and you saw that workout. You're like, man, I got to get back in shape. Are you going to do it, or do you not feel like it? That business you said you were going to start. You said a year ago, 2 years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, you told people around you that you're going to start this thing. Are you going to do it, or is it too late now? Like, what are you going to do to conquer your feelings? What are you going to do to get around and over that wall? Because if you can get over that wall, you are beyond 99% of human beings that walk this planet. Most humans, doesn't matter whether you're black, white, Asian, Hispanic, come from a well-to-do family, poor family, middle-class family, doesn't matter who you pray to, you don't pray to, none of that matters right now for this point. Most people are dominated by their feelings. They're only as good as their feelings. The road that they will go down is the length of their feelings. It's hard for them to see 5 years out because how they feel right now. It's hard for them to have grand visions and grand goals, and they usually don't want to write down goals. They don't have things written down on their walls and stuff I've written around. Why? Because they just, how are they going to do it? They don't feel like it. Some people don't even feel like picking up the pen to write down the goal, which is the navigation towards their dreams. They don't feel like it. If the pen's not laying right there, some people won't get out the house to go buy the pen to go write down the goal because they don't feel like it. Feelings are amazing tools. God gave us all feelings, but God did not give us the reason to use feelings as excuses. We created that. You know, imagine animals, hunters like lions. Imagine lions only hunting when they felt like it. God gave us free choice. It's an amazing thing. Animals hunt when they're hungry. They don't sit and say, man, it's cold out here. I don't feel like doing this right now. I don't feel like doing this right now. I'm staying in. Let's get back in this. Let's get back in this cave. That's not what happens. They hunt. They have no connection. They know they're hungry. They need to go hunt. They need to go eat. They need to go forage. They need to go do whatever, to gather nuts. They need to go. They don't have time to feel. God gave us feelings. And unfortunately, most of us have learned how to use the gift of feelings as barriers to the life we want. Make today the day that you get honest with yourself. Just take a moment and look. How many times in my life have I said X and done Y, and the only reason why in between was my feelings? How many times? Was it once? Was it twice? You could look back to dozens maybe. But it doesn't matter. What matters is what's next. You know, when you're in a car, the windshield is huge. The windshield's huge. Those little mirrors on the driver's side and the passenger side and the rear view mirror, they're small. The reason why the windshield is huge is because you're supposed to see what's in front of you and focus in on that. You're supposed to only glance at what's behind you. You're supposed to glance to the left, glance to the right, glance in the middle. It's a glance. Too many times people stare at what those side mirrors and the rear view mirror, they stare at those. They're constantly looking back at whatever was back there, and they create a feeling around it. You know, I was supposed to do this, but I didn't do that, and I feel terrible now. And because I feel terrible now, I'm not going to go do whatever that next thing was because I feel bad. So they stare at what they cannot control anymore, and they review that drama series over and over again, create negative feelings, then the huge window of opportunity in front of them, that huge windshield of opportunity, everything out there that could be great for them, they don't go for it because they're too busy looking at that. Do you know if you're driving in a car and you keep your eyes focused in on your rear view mirror and on your driver's side mirror and your passenger side mirror, if you focus only on those two, you're going to crash. They're not designed for you to stare at. They're designed for you to glance at. So here's what I encourage you to do. With feelings, we bring this together. Number one, look at your feelings and move forward anyway. Number two, don't focus in on what has already been. Keep your eye on where you're going. So important. And speak to yourself in a way that allows for you as a third party to boss you around. So when I said, here's what you're going to do, you're going to go do that video. You're going to give great energy. You're not even going to focus in on how you feel. You're just going to go do it. That was like me working for me and me, the CEO, telling the employee me what to do. There's a higher level of you. There's a higher version of you. And that higher version has a higher rank than you. And that higher ranked version of you wants the best for the subordinate version of you. But if you don't engage with that other version of you, the one that says, go take that walk is the higher version of you. That healthy meal, higher version of you. Starting that business when you're nervous, higher version of you. Going to that conference and learn how to get better, higher version of you. Don't feel like doing it right now, lower version of you. You have to sometimes play a mental game with yourself where you let your higher version of you dominate the lower version of you so that lower version of you doesn't become the permanent you. We're one small choice always from having another level life. We're just one small choice. And if we take these moments and make these small little choices, not big choices, small choices that create new habits, we create a new identity. And eventually the old identity is not comfortable anymore. You know, I met someone who's very successful, and he grew up in a very dysfunctional family, but he's such a family-oriented person. I didn't even know how dysfunctional his family was, the way that he was with his kids. They're just so great. And he's one of those dads that, like, no matter what, like, he's there at every game, da-da-da-da-da-da. And one day we were just talking. We were at a baseball game. You know, our kids were playing baseball together. And I got to know him over time, and we were talking. And he was talking to me about his business and the things he was doing and how excited he was to be able to be there to watch his kid play baseball. And then it just kind of came out about all the craziness he grew up with. And here's what he said. I didn't want my then to be my forever. Don't let your then be your forever. Whatever didn't happen then. It doesn't have to be your forever. Move from your then and go for your forever. But the bridge between what you want and where you want to be is going to be your ability to conquer your feelings. You can know the information, doesn't matter. You can have all the right connections. That helps. But nothing is going to be more important for you getting over that wall than you're being willing to dominate your feelings. Make your feelings a slave to your higher version self. God bless.
If you actually took time to learn about how incredible you were, nothing would ever stop you. See, the definition of sight is the faculty or power of seeing.